Arknight's Enfield Beta Test 2 special program has just concluded, and oh my god, there's a lot to unpack. I am still not over how peak the livestream is with so many new stuff they showed, but in case you don't have the patience to watch the entire livestream, then here is a condensed summary of what happened during the livestream. First off, the very reason this stream happened, we are gonna have a beta test 2 that will start on November 28th, and it's still a CBT, but I did see a lot of people who are non-content creators get beta test access, so I think this time around, it's not only content creators, so the allegations of only content creators getting access is now invalid, alright? I don't wanna hear it. They also improved the cinematics now and it looks really refined. Hopefully, and I say this with chest, hopefully they continue with this quality as the game goes on. And during the beta test, Wuling, which was a region that we weren't able to fully explore during the first beta, has now been expanded and we can now fully explore that region when beta starts. And I must say, the environment design in this game is really mind-blowing. It makes you question whether this game was truly made with Unity or Unreal Engine. And it looks like we have a neutral zone in Wuling now. Don't quote me on that though, but if you look at this footage here, you can see that the UI, where normally your operators and skills are located, is nowhere to be found, nor are they following you around, so it looks like this is a social hub. Also, while exploring in said neutral zone, your operators can lead you to chests now, which is really sick, while also having what looks like a loot mapper to further help you in your scavenger hunt for chests. Also new to this beta is somewhat of a shared world feature, because pay attention to this part of the stream.
而当探索达到一定阶段的时候，塔维尔还会出现来自于其他管理员的共享设备。使用这种功能可以相互留言，留下快速取货口，甚至可以用好友留下的滑索快速穿越复杂地形。而这种共享设备依赖于管理员之间的相互分享和维护，互帮互助才能实现互利共赢。
If we have something like a shared world where you can see the remnant of a previous administrator building, then that would be really sick. You can also leave messages as well. Now, moving on to the next part, which is the operators. We have a few new operators and some familiar faces. First, we got Ardelia Fiala, a supporter operator. Last right, which is under a unique class for Enfield called Striker. Pogranichnik, or something, which is... Pogranichnik, which is the very first Vanguard operator in Enfield, and then Alish, a new 5-star Vanguard. Ardelia is quite sick actually, since it's basically Aya Alter, but her skills in Enfield, especially her ult, is basically regular Aya's S3 called Volcano, but sheeps. And I must say, the animations on these characters are no joke. The one that stood out to me the most is Pogranichnik. Instead of me explaining, I'm just gonna let you guys see it in action.
俊卫是一名兼具物理输出和肌力恢复能力的先锋干员，他能通过消耗破防层数发挥强大的能力。随我进去！
And we also got a fresh lineup of 4 stars, namely Antal, who is basically 12F, Fluorite, Estella, Catcher, and Akikuri. Now, they might look basic, but this just means that we have our very first niche in Arknight's Enfield, which is the ever-famous 4-star only niche. The previous beta test 4 stars like Snowshine, Shaihi, Chen, and Wolfguard have now been moved to being a 5-star as well. Here is the summary of all the available operators in Enfield currently. As for the combat, we now have the confirmation of a perfect dodge. We've already seen videos of it in action during the China Joy livestream, so if anything, this is just to solidify that it is indeed in the game. The way you stagger enemies now has also been changed. Enemies now have multiple stages of being staggered. For example, in this demo here, you can see that there is a threshold in the middle which is called stagger nodes. And if you reach that point, the enemies will idle for a bit but not take as much damage compared to when you fully stagger them, which results in them being immobile and taking more damage. We also have an introduction of body part targeting, which is only available to some enemies. We've actually seen this one during the PS4 demo with the giant boss, where you have to damage their hands before moving on to DPS. For improvements, Leviathan has now completely been reworked as seen in this comparison here, and as you can see, her moveset and combo skill and battle skill on the right side is much more fluid compared to the previous beta test version. Now, for the factory side of things, let's not dabble on it any longer. We now have a blueprint system in the game. We've seen this coming from a mile away, and Satisfactory has this feature as well, so it makes sense that they would add this feature because let's face it, not everyone is keen on doing factory simulations. However, you still have to work in order to get the blueprints for each production line though. For example, if you want the blueprint for a healing item, you must first undergo the tutorial on how to do it yourself, and then once you completed the simulation training, the blueprint for that said product can now be used. You can also copy and paste production lines now as long as you have the facilities in your base needed to duplicate the production line you want. But if you're not about that life, don't worry. You can craft your own production line and save it as your own, and you can even share it with your friends if you want to so that they can have an easier time in the factory. Like for example, in this demonstration here, this is a production line for a more higher rarity item, and all you need to do is find a blueprint for it, and then assuming you have all the facilities needed for this blueprint, then you can lay it out on your base directly. Also, the way you expand your AIC plot is now different. Back then, it was dependent on each area's development that allows you to expand. It looks like that's no longer the case, and instead, you can use a special currency which I assume is base related to use for expansion. These special currencies you can get through trading in your outpost, and the way you trade in this game is now manual since during the beta, you had to wait 1 minute for each trade cycle. Now, if you have a stockpile of materials that an outpost needs, you can outright trade those spare materials in exchange for these currencies, which you can then use to expand your AIC as shown earlier or develop certain facilities located around the world. The storage boxes that you can see in your AIC are now also deployable inside the complex, so they are no longer bound on the edges of your plot of land, which makes the belt routing much better and less cluttered. Although it is still unknown if this feature is only limited to the Wuling AIC area. And for the O.M.V.D. Jiangan, the spaceship we call home now has a reception room, and perhaps the nicest addition they added to this place is what I would like to call the trophy room, because here, you can showcase your medals, your recruited operators, and a personalized armory where you can show off your loot. You can also visit your friend's reception room as long as you have them added on your friends list. And oh yeah, they added a friend feature in this game now, which is sick. We also have a new game mode called Etch-Paste Salvage. This is very similar to how Annihilation works and is also your main source of oro barrels, which is the pool currency of Enfield. We still don't know how it works, so we'll have to wait and see during the beta, but based on their description, you can scavenge important items to exchange them for oro barrels or to enhance your skills during your run in Etch-Paste Salvage. So, it's very similar to a scavenger hunt of some sort. For the next part, nothing has changed during the explanation of the main monetization of this game, which is the gacha. It's still the same as the previous beta test where you are guaranteed a 6-star operator at 80 pulls where you can either lose or win your 50-50, or if you lose, you can do 40 more pulls and go up to 120 to fully guarantee yourself the rate up character in the banner. However, an additional mechanic has been added. After the banner of a specific operator ends, they will still remain in the gacha pool for 2 additional banners, so even if you didn't get the operator during the rate up banner, you have a chance to get spooked on a different banner as long as they are within the 2-banner cycle. Once that cycle is over, they will be temporarily removed from the pool, but they promise to give us a rerun banner in the future. The weapon banner has also been explained further and also added an additional failsafe system. The standard rule is that every 4 10 pulls you do, you get a 6-star weapon, which is a 50-50 between the rate up or an off-rate weapon. And then on the 8th 10 pull you do, you are guaranteed the rate up weapon. Now here's where it gets interesting. Every 10th and 18th pull gives you a special reward. On the 10th attempt, you get an arsenal offering crate, which lets you pick a non-featured 6-star weapon from the banner. On the 18th attempt, you're guaranteed a featured weapon. After that, every 8 attempts, it alternates. You get a crate, featured weapon, crate, featured, basically rewarding consistent pulls. So it goes like this. On the 10th attempt, you get a crate. On the 18th, you get a featured weapon. And then on your 26th attempt, you get a crate. And then on your 34th, you get a featured weapon, and so on. Hopefully that explanation didn't fry your brain since it's quite simple really. Now, we have the staple of every game nowadays, the Battle Pass. However, it works quite different than any other Battle Pass you see in most games because the Protocol Pass has 3 tiers: Basic Supply, Originium Supply, and Protocol Customized. Basic is, well, this is the free tier. Everyone gets this by just playing. You'll earn standard rewards as you level up the pass. Originium Supply is the paid tier, which you unlock using Origeometry, which is the premium currency of this game that you can earn through various activities, but you mainly get it by leveling up your authority level. It gives you extra rewards on top of what you already get from the free pass. The value is good because the rewards here covers the cost of buying it, since you can earn Origeometry from this level plus some bonus Origeometry and extra materials. Basically, you can just cycle this over and over again if you just keep playing. Protocol Customized, however, is the premium tier. This is purchased using real money, and this tier includes everything from the previously mentioned tiers and exclusive season pass rewards. And that's about it. We can look forward during the beta test for more info on the ones shown during the stream, and hopefully I can get in as well so that I can give you coverage on O.M.V.D content. Also, there's a web event right now where you can team up with other people and try to get beta test access. It is a gacha, however, and you can only have one attempt per account, so you can go ahead and try your luck there, since I already saw a bunch of people, specifically non-content creators, get beta test access, so the allegations of closed beta tests only with content creators can no longer be thrown around willy-nilly. And as always, leave a like if you did, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more Arknights and O.M.V.D content in the future. See you guys in the next video.